Hi guys, today is day 2 of our 3-part workshop series on getting our soil ready for the winter. If you don't get the soil right, everything else really has trouble falling into line when you're growing your own food. So we're really focusing on the soil in these 3 workshops. Say hi. I'd love to know where you're from. And please, everybody, share in the comments. I'd love to have some discussion going on about what your number one obstacle is when it comes to growing your own food. Whether you just have one tomato plant in a container or whether you have acres and acres of field that you're growing your food in. I don't care about how large or how small your gardening efforts are. I just would really love to know your number one obstacle, what you struggle with the most, or what keeps you from persevering or starting with gardening. Whatever the case is, let me know. I would love to know your gardening stories. So yesterday we talked about how to find out where our soil is currently, what's going on in your soil, how it's doing as far as its nutrients, and just the whole microbial life of your soil. And you can actually test that with the best option I have ever found. And it's so user-friendly. We talked all about this yesterday. If you missed that workshop, please go catch it. This right here is a game changer, total game changer. And fall is a great time to do a soil test because your soil has naturally been depleted by feeding the plants that have been growing in it all summer. So fall is a great time to get a snapshot of your soil, see where it is after the growing season and see what it might be lacking and how you can help it. Because the more of a boost that you can give it now before it heads into winter, the better it is going to be come spring. The microbial life is going to be able to really prosper through the winter, and come spring you're going to have some great food. Brittany says she is in Middle Tennessee. Good morning, Brittany. Number one obstacle, not having, I'm sorry, I'm squinting so much. It's so bright out here again today, which I'm not complaining. Not having space. Yes, I rent and we can't plant anything. Tried doing a few pots and I grew one very small tomato and a green bell pepper. Well, you know what, Brittany? First of all, I want to say kudos to you because I honestly have high respect for someone who is just doing the best that they can with their current situation. Don't long too much for what you'd rather have. Instead, take what you've been given, take where you are, and use it to its best ability. And what you're doing is exactly what, in my opinion, you should be doing as a gardener. Using your containers and planting the things that do well in containers. And you know what? Even with container gardening, everything we're talking about is going to make a difference, especially, in my opinion, Brittany, today's workshop is the best one for you as a container gardener. So definitely stick with me. Lots of people joining. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, everyone. Let me know your number one obstacle to gardening because we all have them. I could name quite a few myself. Believe me, we have them. It's just a matter of how we look at those obstacles and what we do to push through them, right? But I will tell you, this soil test, don't miss last workshop because this soil test, got me over an obstacle that would have just gotten worse and worse. And I might have gotten to the point that I gave up on this very garden that I'm standing in right now because it would have gotten progressively worse if I had not been educated and knowledgeable about what was going on in my soil. And I would have never known without this right here. I will send you all the details that I'm talking about so you can see my actual soil test results. You can hear my story. You can see how the soil test impacted this garden right here. I'll send that all to you if you're on my list for this workshop. So if you got an email this morning reminding you about this workshop, you're on the list and I will be sending it to you. If not, comment the word soil when this live is over, or if you're catching the replay or if you're catching this on YouTube, go ahead and comment soil. And I will make sure I send you the whole background on this soil test and why it is a game changer. Okay, today we are talking about an amendment. If you know me at all, if you've been following me for any time, you know I am all about simple as it can be. If you know my podcast, the title tells you, I know simple doesn't mean easy. That is the name of my podcast. But Simple is, in my opinion, always going to be the best when possible to employ a simple strategy. And I'm talking about any area of life, but when it comes to gardening, what I'm going to pull out right now is as simple as it can get. And honestly, it's actually pretty easy too. It's not often that going the simple route is the easiest way. It often requires some sweat and some hard work on our part. But I honestly got to tell you, this simple thing for the garden, I don't think it could be any easier. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that natural is important. Good morning, everybody. Say hi. We're talking about, let me know what your number one obstacle is to gardening. What was I saying? I'm seeing these names pop on and I'm getting distracted. I don't know what I was saying. I hate that. Now I'm listening to the birds and I'm really getting distracted. Okay, natural. Natural is really important to me. Starting with my food in our pantry, in our kitchen, I started one at a time, and I still have a lot more to go. Trust me, my kitchen is not perfect when it comes to food. I would never say that it is, but one at a time, I've gone organic when I can, and I've gotten better ingredients, and I've figured out a way to make a homemade pantry staple instead of buying that pantry staple. And I have a long list of ones that I want to accomplish, moving forward. It's the same for my garden. I didn't used to be an all-natural gardener. My dad taught me everything I know, and he was just transfixed and enamored with the chemical products of the 70s that became available to home gardeners. And you know what? In the beginning, they looked like they were doing an amazing job, and they worked really well for him until he didn't realize that they weren't working so well, and he didn't understand why. But they deplete the soil so badly, and they are not good for our plants, and they do not give us a better crop. They do not give us more nutritious food. But I didn't know any better until maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I really started making a really conscious effort to switch things over to be more organic. About a decade ago, I just stopped using the chemicals, but I was really struggling with, I wasn't getting good results. I didn't know what to do. I knew I didn't want chemicals, but I didn't know my other options. Today's option, I'm going to pull it out. I think that's it if I'm pointing to the right spot, is amazing. And let me tell you what it is. It is literally, it doesn't sound too fascinating when I tell you this, but it is a combination of minerals and salts drawn from the ground in Utah, along with some bentonite clay, which is essentially volcanic ash that has aged and, what's the word? It's been decomposed, not a hard word, over the course of a very long time underground. So they pull those two things from under the ground and they turn it into a powder. And then we can get this amazing resource from Utah shipped to our gardens wherever we are in the US. And it is loaded with minerals. It's an underground reservoir that they're pulling it from. And it has not been touched by pollutants. And it is literally more than 60 minerals. But this is the great part. They're all natural minerals. And they coincide together and they help each other. Unlike just giving your soil 10-10-10 and just giving it those three things that your soil can't do anything with because it doesn't have all the other nutrients that it needs. This is like the full scale of nutrients. And it is literally feeding your soil. And this is the thing we don't think about as gardeners. Our soil is loaded with actual life, with microbial life. There's all kinds of critters that our eye can't even see living in our soil. And if we're not giving it this spark of minerals and food that it needs, it doesn't prosper. It doesn't thrive. It dies. The bad stuff lives and the good stuff dies. Guys, it is just like our gut health, which I think is fascinating. I went on a whole journey of improving my gut health 8-9 years ago. And actually, I've done a series of lives all about that too. But kombucha for me was a huge game changer. And what it does is it feeds the good bacteria in my gut and it improves my gut health, reduces my inflammation, and gives me a whole lot of other health benefits because my gut is doing well. It's healed and the good bacteria is thriving. It's the exact same thing in our soil. We need to feed it well so the good microbial life, the little critters we can't see, start to thrive. And the bad critters don't take over. So when we're feeding our soil with this amendment, we're literally giving it a spark of life. And it's amazing. The way that I saw a game changer in my life with my gut health with kombucha, I'm seeing the same thing in my garden. It literally is blowing me away how cool it is to see this happen. So it makes, here's the thing. You're not going to see it immediately, right? But what it does is it gets the soil stronger and the nutrients are there for your plants. So next spring, the plants that I plant there are going to go, oh, here's the food I need. And they're going to start thriving. Even better, they become immune to disease. Just like our gut health, when we are healthy, it makes us immune to the cold and flu season. It helps us fight off colds a little bit better, etc. Our soil feeds our plants and allows our plants to fight off the fungus, the disease, the leaf rot, all those problems. It doesn't eliminate them, of course not. We all know that all natural amendments to our garden are not going to have the immediate results we see with chemicals, but it makes the plant stronger overall from within, and it can fight off all those things on its own without the chemicals. So there you go. I've told you why I'm enamored with this stuff. Let me put some on. If you comment soil, I will send you a link not only to this exact product, but I will also send you a coupon code so you can save, you can get it in your soil this fall, and get your soil ready to give you the best, not only highest yield maybe that you've ever seen next year, but this is the thing that I really love. It gives you nutrient dense food. Any food that you grow is going to be amazingly good for you and better than anything you can buy, even at a farmer's market, because at the farmer's market, it's been at least 2 days since it's been picked, and then another day or two until you eat it. But if it's coming right from your own garden, even if you have poor soil, it's the best food that you could have, trust me. But if your soil has this spark of life and has been well fed, then the nutrients in your food that you're putting on your table are going to be better than you could have any other way. It really gets me excited. So to prepare your soil, I prepared just a little square back here so I can do this with you. All you need to do is literally remove debris, remove weeds, pull up any rocks and toss them, and just give a really light rake to the soil so it's ready to, it's loose and it's ready to take in the minerals. Let me show you this stuff. Okay, there's two options of this, by the way. You can get this with chicken manure in it. I've heard it smells pretty foul, which would make sense. But I don't want chicken manure in it because I want to be able to do my soil test and regulate my phosphorus and other nutrients that are impacted by manure. And some years I might not want to put manure on it. In fact, make sure you comment soil, and the information I send you about this garden, it will explain to you exactly what I mean and why I'm careful with manure these days in this garden. So this is the option without any manure. This is simply the volcanic ash and the salt from that reservoir underground in Utah. This is all it is, but it's amazing what it does for our soil. So I have this square prepared. Now I'm just gonna lightly toss this on the ground and rake it in lightly. And then I won't do the final step with you, but it's simply watering it lightly. And you just have to water it once just to get the nutrients starting to soak down in. So let's do this. Before I do, let me see what other comments we have. This is Robin. Maybe I should move the camera so the sun's, I'll just do this. Robin says she has ground planters. The squirrels dig up her seeds before the plants get started. Oh, those pesky squirrels. The best thing I have found for squirrels is to give them something that is going to deter them. You know what? I was going to say, do I have an article about that? I don't know if I've written that article. I don't know. I don't want to promise something I don't have. Yeah. Squirrels are a pain, but if you can maybe find a way, I think you said you have ground planters. Yeah, those are a lot easier than like a large garden to fence off and protect from the squirrels, and then make sure it's moved away from any ledges, window ledges, kind of walls that they can hop into it from. And hopefully you can keep those guys out. They can be so frustrating. Here we have chipmunks instead of squirrels. Chipmunks eat all of my chicken food if I don't have good barn cats that keep them away. But that's beside the point. Tales from the Mutiny says, Southwest Colorado, her biggest gardening issue is weeds. Oh, yes. You know what? Come back for our workshop tomorrow, Tales from the Mutiny, because what we're talking about tomorrow, in fact, I'll show you a little bit of it here today when I'm done putting this amendment on. This is your best weapon, is that what I want to say? Against weeds. From taking over your garden in the fall and into the spring, but also to build up your soil to decrease the amount of weeds. Tomorrow's episode, don't miss it, tomorrow's workshop. Sparrowhawk says, heat, just moved and I'm relearning my garden needs. Oh, good point about moving. It really takes at least a couple of years to figure out so many things. But if you're able to, when you move, before you start your garden, spend at least a few months, ideally in the summer, figuring out where the sun is falling, what your shade is like, how the sun moves during the day, to really help you figure out the best spot. And it's good to do that over the course of many months and kind of make a graph and figure out the best place where you can put your garden. But heat, that's something I don't struggle with as much here in New England. I have the opposite problem where I don't have a long enough growing season. But yeah, heat could be a problem. One great thing for heat is to have temporary shade of some sort that you can pull during the day to give your plants some rest. Sharon is commenting soil. Please come back and comment that when this is over. Same to Sparrow Frank. Sparrow something. Rhonda also, if you guys could just please comment that, Carrie. Come back and comment soil when it's done, because I'm going to not see your comment and I won't be able to send you information once I hit the publish button. Hi from Louisiana, Ad Homestead. Okay, I think I've scrolled through everything. Okay, let's get this amendment on. I think I have a hair clip here. Get this out of my way. By the way, I put on this sweater because it was so chilly inside this morning here in New England, but it's a gorgeous day out here. I'm going to be taking this off before I do any actual gardening. Okay, my soil's ready. Let's get this on. I wonder if I need to move you closer. I think you'll be able to see. So I just have this little patch here. And you really just lightly sprinkle it. It's that simple. And then I'm going to rake it in. You know, I'm going to leave a little patch undone here so I can hold the camera and show you in a minute. Lightly rake it. And then water it. Let me hold the camera and see if I can show you this up close. See if I can turn this around. You know, I don't know if Alive lets me. There it is. I've had trouble finding that before. Okay. So here's the mineral light. Like I said, this is the one without manure. You can get it without a manure. Let me see. It's in the sun, really, because maybe that is better to see now. There we go. Such great stuff. And then you really just sprinkle it. That simple. It's good to do this twice a year if you're able. I did this in the springtime, and now I'm doing it in the fall as I put it to bed. If you only can do one time a year, I don't know. I mean, if you've never used it, I'd say fall might be the best. But if you can, moving forward, only do one time a year, probably the spring if you have to just do once. I don't know why you'd have to. I don't know why you wouldn't do it both, but then you just lightly rake it in. That's it. I'm going to water it, and we're good. Now, the other thing I want to show you, which tomorrow's workshop is going to be about, is everywhere except for here, where I have some spinach planted. Hasn't come up yet, and some lettuce, obviously. And over here, where I have one lone bean plant, I need to have some beans for dinner. And some strawberries that I'm going to be moving next spring. except, and there's one up there, except for them. And then this kale, I have kale here and over here. Except for those areas. Everything else in this bed has had cover crops planted. And tomorrow I'm going to tell you more about why cover crops are great for your garden, how a backyard gardener can use them, how to choose them, and most importantly, I think this is the biggest hiccup for people with cover crops, is what to do with them in the spring. So we're going to cover all of that in tomorrow's workshop. Go ahead and leave your comments you might have about cover crops. Let me turn this back around. And I will try and answer those tomorrow. And any more questions you have about this amendment, I will, well, leave them after the live is over. I was going to say I'll come back and answer them, but everything you've commented unfortunately goes away. Let me turn, if I turn this way. I see Tales from the Mutiny says, my animals love bentonite clay. I get it from Redmond's. They make a specific one for horses. I make a tea out of it for them. It's magical stuff. Oh, that's really cool. I did not know about that about horses. I know bentonite clay is crazy, isn't it? How good it is. And you can make so many things for ourselves with it. It's just like wonderful face masks and all different things. Man, I hate that I'm struggling so much with the sun. How do we access the workshop? Carrie asked. Great question. Okay, this is part 2 out of 3 of the soil amendment workshops. And you can find them if you're on Instagram. You can find them on my homepage under my, you're going to have to scroll a little bit and look around under the lives. But I'm going to put them all up on YouTube as well. And there they will be in a 3-part playlist. So you can access the replays. So if you comment soil when this is over, I will have you on my list. And as soon as those replays are available, I will send you that information right away. So if you missed yesterday's and you can't find it on Instagram, or you want to rewatch today's, or you can't make tomorrow's, but you want to see it, whatever the case, as long as you comment soil, I will make sure you get all those links. So I hope that answers that, Carrie. I think I got through the questions. If I missed it, I'm sorry. Come back and leave it again. Okay, so that's it. And tomorrow, I'm excited. Tomorrow, I hope I'm able to answer for you all the questions so many of you have sent me here on Instagram about cover crops and dispel the myth, just destroy any hiccups that you have keeping you from it, and help you understand why cover crops are a great option for backyard gardeners. So join me tomorrow. Thanks for being with me today. Catch you guys in the next one.